A common and sometimes reasonable argument people make is that LE SSERAFIM's personal concept is not, quote, personal enough. It's hard to pierce through the manufactured, sleek, and model-esque development of this group's projects to understand the personal thoughts, feelings, and ideas of the members themselves. Though, oddly enough, in spite of this request for more emotionally sensitive works, in the moments of LE SSERAFIM's career where they do express vulnerability, they tend to get burned for it, very badly actually. LE SSERAFIM has been burnt to a crisp from the criticism they faced since debut. Some of that criticism is constructive and well-meaning, a lot of it is most certainly not. Now nothing but a pile of ash on the ground, the heat within ash is able to retain itself long enough to eventually set something on fire once again. This is what seems to be the narrative through line for this new album, which also reaches back to the narrative work in the previous album, Crazy. No matter what they do, LE SSERAFIM gets struck by lightning repeatedly, is now nothing but a pile of ash on the ground, but yet finds the heat from within those ashes to rekindle themselves to burn brightly once again. There's really nobody doing concept work between albums quite like LE SSERAFIM is. It's a feature of their work that I've come to appreciate the most, and that I think is so grossly overlooked. I can absolutely see the criticisms about the personal concept not being personal enough, but at this moment in time, I think the absolute last thing LE SSERAFIM owes anyone is more vulnerable works into their lived experiences. It's fine to want that, to want more emotional depth in the album projects, but to expect or demand that is something different. Similar to the conversations I've been having about the members of Blackpink and really all idols who face insane amounts of irrational criticism, we certainly are not owed any sort of look into their personal thoughts and feelings when the response they get for doing so is what LE SSERAFIM has had to go through this past year. All I'm saying is that the members of LE SSERAFIM should be legally allowed to audit and execute one K-pop Twitter user a week. I don't think I'm being irrational about this. We need to start setting some examples. But anyways, and as I was saying, LE SSERAFIM is easily the best of the best when it comes to the development of cohesive album projects, but that unfortunately seems to come at the cost of the projects in question being considerably short. This group, in almost 3 years of being active, has only released EPs, with the exception of one mini album being the Unforgiven album. Now, I know Source Music labels Unforgiven as the first full album, to which I think many Fear-Nots would urge the importance of words having meaning to them. The album has 7 unique tracks that total up to just over 20 minutes in duration. The albums, and increasingly the songs themselves, are not very long. One thing about Hybe labels and bridges recently is that bridge is not getting built. Hybe will bring the planks of wood to the Bravines who pole vault across it, but a bridge will most certainly not be built. LE SSERAFIM literally has a song about this. I've historically been neutral leaning on the bridge crisis in K-pop, but I am starting to feel the heat. Maybe we shouldn't have burned the bridge. So while we'll be celebrating LE SSERAFIM's 3rd anniversary without a full album to our name, the projects we do get in the meantime do a lot of work to develop this group's identity. The Hot album narratively reconciles with the chaos that was the Crazy album, rising from the ashes and maintaining the flame within them with great care this time. I think the overall laid-back sentiment of the title track and album seems to reflect this. They aren't rising from the ash in blazing glory. They're well aware this time that doing so tends to attract the ire of people wanting to snuff out their flames. There will be a moment in the future where LE SSERAFIM rises back to glory, but Hot emphasizes the need to take things steadily, learning how to ground yourself before you start marching forward. The title track takes on the context of a love song, a territory LE SSERAFIM hasn't explored before in terms of lead singles. Lyrics such as, "I'm burning hot if I can live my own way, turning to ashes ain't no problem, so tonight, in your embrace, Bonnie and Clyde it. Just like a phoenix soaring across eternal skies, you're just like a miracle making me dream again tonight. Once again my embers glow hot, sprouting wings, now hold me tight." So Hot can be universally about loving someone or something so much to the point that the pain or intensity of whatever it is will cause you destruction. Living life as they see it and by their rules is what causes this fire, and if it's something that will turn them into ashes by pursuing it, they find resolve in knowing that they can rekindle the embers again and again to continue living out their dreams. All of these ideas are narratively conducive to what they go through as idols, the intensity of love and relationships, and it can also be about the relationship LE SSERAFIM has with their fans. To love and or care for something through the overwhelming heat, so much that you begin to enjoy being in the midst of these otherwise unbearable conditions. Living for yourself and what you love is what makes getting burned worth it. And actually, the rest of this album outlines that the feeling of being burned is something LE SSERAFIM is drawn to. Again, we can make narrative ties all the way back to songs like Blue Flame from their debut album. With new perspectives and new experiences, they are both drawn to that flame and the idea of getting burned by it, but yet this time, they're eager to metaphorically burn themselves to the point of destruction. The chorus to the song Ash reads, "I want you to stop time, the moment the flame burns me. Finally I can breathe in the wave of pain. I'm turning into ashes to live again. The more it hurts, the more alive I am, a new born from the ashes. Nothing lasts forever, I'm about to bloom again." They're eager to turn into ash at the chance of starting over. They feel exhilarated by the idea of getting to do so. The album rounds out its narrative with the final track, So Cynical, where we see our narrator reconciling with their own cynicism about love and relationships. Most things about starting a relationship feel very superficial. Our narrator doesn't look forward to engaging with those things, the overly formal processes of starting a new relationship. In the context of the album's narrative, burning to ash could be the demise of a previous relationship, and the eagerness to rise from the ash is starting a new one. LE SSERAFIM, as our narrator, looks for things that feel real to her, things that inspire that burning feeling in which the initial talking stages of a relationship do not seem to satisfy. This emotional detachment is what causes our narrator to feel cynical about love in general, but yet she recognizes the shield of cynicism is also the same exact thing that may be preventing her from forming genuine connections to people. So overall, Hot seems to be a project about rekindling your own passions and taking an introspective look at all that causes you to fall apart. Introspection on behalf of our narrator allows us to ruminate about the ideas that may lead us to burning a little bit brighter and for a little bit longer in the future, but in the end, nothing is really guaranteed. Regardless of anything, flames will eventually have to subside, burn to ash, and there does exist a moment where ash cools beyond the point of being able to rekindle itself again. I suspect this idea might be the basis for the project that follows this one. Is there a limit to how many times you can be burned before you're genuinely exhausted, before you can't reignite yourself again? With So Cynical in mind, I wonder if we'll progress towards a narrative that emphasizes chasing the most intense feelings always may lead to more permanent kinds of self-ruin, no matter how much they make you feel alive. There is value in taking things slow and learning to enjoy the lower moments for what they actually are, rather than seeing them as really another opportunity that ultimately leads to destruction. Fire is something that is woven into LE SSERAFIM's identity pretty consistently. Again, blue flame, burn the bridge, fire in the belly, chasing lightning, and so on. The Hot album works as a pretty nice capstone for all of these ideas, and maybe a look as to where we could be going forward in the future. And then musically, this album is maybe my favorite overall since the debut EP. Ash, in particular, is an incredible song all around. And it's a song with a bridge. A very short bridge, but a bridge nonetheless, so I'll take it. I also really like Come Over. It's very reflective of vintage music trends in the West that are rising to popularity again, but not really something that K-pop has tapped into that I'm aware of. And also, touching back on concept a little bit, we have a real and genuine concept album cover. I really never thought that I would see the day. Literally everything about this album is what I've been looking for out of LE SSERAFIM. I will say, an idea I have about the conceptual nature of LE SSERAFIM releases, and given how short they are, I would like for Source Music to try leaning into the visuals and producing music videos for most or all of the album tracks. Like, if a full-length album isn't on the table just yet and we stick to the conceptual EP formula, I think releasing visuals for all of the tracks would be nice. I think that's my one note for this album. I think that would be a good way to combat how short these projects are, but otherwise I love it. I can personally get behind short projects so long as they're made with intention, in which Hot definitely has intention in abundance. Yeah, I think that's all for me. I really like this album. As I said, I think Hot, Come Over, and Ash are at the top of the choujimi charts at this moment in time. But let me know what you think about this album. What are your favorite tracks? How do you feel about the overall conceptual development? And so on. Yeah, thanks for watching this. If you did, subscribe if you want to, and I will see you next time.